Some people say that losing a guy is like getting him in the first place. Trump's second wife, Marla Maples, learned that the hard way. She snuck into his life as the other woman while he was still married to his first wife. In the early 1990s, they got married. But after 6 years, she saw him leave her for another woman. It took Marla more than 20 years of silence before she finally told Donald why she really broke up with him. We need to go back and look at how their fast-paced relationship started, though, in order to fully understand their dramatic love story. At first, things between Marla Maples and Donald Trump were not going so well. A girl from a small town in Georgia named Marla met Donald Trump in the late 1980s. She wanted to be a popular actor and model. Trump was already well known at the time as a showy real estate mogul with a golden tower, a big ego, a wife, and 3 kids. People talked about them for more reasons than just the fact that Trump was married. Back then, a lot of rich guys did have affairs, so that part wasn't really a surprise. What shocked everyone the most was how public their relationship became. Trump and Marla didn't go back and forth with each other. Everyone in New York saw them, and it looked like they didn't care who saw them. They were the talk of all the blogs and fancy cocktail parties. A lot of people did. You see, Trump was married to Ivana Zelnikova at the time. She was a beautiful Czech model who had left her country because of communism. She was not only Trump's partner, but also his vice president of interior design. The golden furniture in Trump Tower is said to have her mark on them. They had 3 children together. Their names were Eric, Ivanka, and Don Jr. At first glance, it seemed like the ideal power family, but the walls were already falling down, even though everyone saw a beautiful and wealthy family. As Marla and Trump's friendship got stronger, those cracks got bigger by 1989. That year, Trump and Ivana's marriage was in a lot of trouble, and Marla played a big role in it. She said that they had been nice to each other at other events, but something felt different on Madison Avenue that day. Afterwards, she said it was the kind of chance meeting that makes everything different. It really did happen. After that, Marla wasn't just a name in the crowd. She was the one who would damage Trump's marriage, which was already in trouble, and make her own way in his crazy, news-filled world. Trump's personal life made the front page of the New York Post on February 16, 1990. The title made it clear that Marla Maples had told her friends that Trump was the best boyfriend she had ever had. Everyone in New York had something to say about Trump's messy personal life as soon as the news came out. For weeks, the press couldn't get enough. The city couldn't get enough scandal, so everything about Trump's broken marriage to Ivana and his public relationship with Marla made the front page. The real trouble, though, had happened during the famous Aspen showdown a few months before. Trump took Ivana, their 3 kids, in a fancy ski resort in Colorado in December 1989. It was supposed to be a fun family trip. The problem was that Trump also asked Marla, his wife, to come to Aspen. Having a secret woman follow you around while you're on vacation with your wife is the most sweet thing that can happen. There was just a chance that Ivana and Marla met. It was sad that the meeting wasn't nice. It looked like Ivana was having a normal ski day until she noticed who the young blonde woman was who was coming up to her. Ivana was sure that her marriage was over after the short fight. After that day, there were no more hopes of getting along again. For the second time in 2 months, Trump filed for divorce in February 1990. People in the news loved writing about Ivana and Marla as if they were enemies on a soap opera. Ivana tried to start over with her life, while Marla became popular as Trump's new first lady. But what happened next was more of a surprise for people who thought the story would end like a fairy tale. Trump and Marla's story was not going to end happily. Things were going to get just as bad between them as they did before. When Trump and Maples told everyone they were getting married, a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people didn't think Trump would get married so quickly after his public and messy split from Ivana. It was especially true when you thought about how much his first breakup cost. Ivana went through more than just a breakup. It was in every newspaper. Even just the court case was exciting. There were charges, power plays, and a huge deal that made no one speak. Some people said that Trump had locked Ivana out of her office at the Plaza Hotel while they were getting a divorce. When they got married, they changed 4 prenuptial agreements, which led to a heated court battle over whether or not the agreements were still legal. The news went crazy as this went on. 11 days in a row, Ivana Trump and Marla were on the front page of New York newspapers, and talk show host Liz Smith wrote about them nonstop for 3 months. A lot of people were interested in the love triangle and the terrible breakup that followed. Ivana got a deal that was fit for a queen when her divorce was over in December 1990. She got $14 million, 0 cents, a 45-room mansion in Connecticut, apartment in Trump Plaza, and even the right to use Mar-a-Lago for 1 month every year. But there was a catch. To keep the deal going, Ivana had to sign a strict agreement that said she couldn't talk about their marriage in public without Trump's permission. This meant that their dirty clothes would not be seen by anyone for many years. Trump wasn't too shocked when he decided to marry Marla this time. He was a little more careful this time. Trump insisted on a very strict prenuptial agreement before they said "I do." This one was much stricter than the ones he had signed with Ivana, and made sure that he would still be in charge of his empire if things went badly again. Once everything was in order, Trump and Marla were ready to get married. Things would not be easy once they were married, though. They got married in December 1993, just 3 years after Trump's messy breakup with Ivana. When Trump and Marla walked down the aisle, it looked like things had finally calmed down. The wedding was very big, and Trump owned the Plaza Hotel where it happened. More than 1,000 well-known people, business leaders and socialites were there. It looked like something from a fairy tale if you didn't know how hard things were behind the scenes. They were too happy and in love to get married in the end. Their daughter Tiffany, who was already born when they got married, was the main reason they stayed together. Also, Trump's reaction when he found out Marla was pregnant was not at all like a scene from a love story. He wasn't pleased or picking out names for the child. People say he was shocked and didn't know what to do next, but Marla seemed excited about having a child, even though Trump wasn't sure about it. At the time, Trump had to deal with a lot. Business people were putting pressure on him, the media was keeping a close eye on him, and the effects of an affair that had been in the news for years were still being felt. When Marla was shot on the Long Island Railroad in December 1993, it made him think about his life and what was most important to him. He then decided to ask her to marry him. It sounds nice at first, but what happened before makes things a lot messier than they seemed. From the outside, their wedding looked like the start of a wonderful new life, but people who looked very closely could see cracks. They didn't really want to become parents, and their relationship had already been through a lot of ups and downs, so saying "I do" didn't seem like it would make things better. The things they were putting off didn't go away, and things got worse between them. There's less room to ignore them now. Marla would talk more about what went wrong in the future, but the truth is that this marriage was doomed from the start. It wasn't built on the idea that love and trust. It was because of what happened, the time, and a lot of pressure from outside sources. And once you have that, things will break down in the end. Trump and Maples getting married was always going to be a bad idea. When we look back, it's clear why. Even though they were very different, scandals and tabloid stories pulled them together. Their lives just didn't fit together, and that's what ended it. There was always something Trump wanted: power and success. Marla, on the other hand, wanted something deeper and more in line with her small-town values. They had two very different lives, even though they lived in the same house. Trump really lived in New York. As a child in Queens, his father taught him that work was like war. Victory was everything, and wealth and buildings were signs of luck. He was one of the most powerful people in the city and had built a big real estate business before he met Marla. His life was always a balance between deals, media events, and keeping up the false image he had worked so hard to build. Marla, what about her? She came from a different place. Cocoa, Georgia, where she grew up, was a small town in the country where everyone cared about each other and life was simple. Being raised in a poor and religious home taught her to value being kind, religion, and relationships. All of these things were very different from Trump's world, which was very competitive. What made them different at first might have been fun, but they quickly turned into a big problem. The cracks were easy to see right away. As always, Trump was focused on building his business because he was a businessman and his work always came first. He liked how chaos and media attention were always there with big deals, but Marla wanted something simpler and more real, but Being with Trump wasn't supposed to be calm or happy. It was made to look good, but she wouldn't be pleased with it. Things were already bad, and Trump's background with marriage and kids didn't make them better. Even after he married Marla, everything was still important to him because he had been through so much with Ivana. He still cared most about work. He cared about his kids, but he wasn't the type to slow down for them. Marla had hoped for more, a partner who would really see her and be there for them, but he wasn't there. She married a man who was more interested in his next big deal than in building a life with her. But the news was the last straw, even though their marriage was already in bad shape. Trump and Marla, Trump's marriage was falling apart, and one of the most talked about events in their relationship made things worse. A shocking story about Marla and Spencer Wagner, one of Trump's bodyguards, made a lot of news in 1996. Reports say the event happened at Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, where the couple often went on vacation. In their marriage, what happened that night was one of the things they talked about the most. It all began at 4 a.m. on a beach where no one else was. A police officer who was on duty on April 16, 1996, went up to a lifeguard stand and saw Wagner sitting close by. He told them he was alone. But then a woman came out from behind the trees. He was married to Marla Maples. Who was that woman? They went crazy as soon as they heard the news. Tabloids talked about it on the front pages for days, and talk shows loved attempting to guess what really occurred that night. Marla and Wagner both said they were wrong and that everything they did was wrong. She told the officer that she was only going to the bathroom on the beach when he showed up. Wagner agreed with her that they had not done anything wrong and said that they had been fine. It wasn't stopped by those who denied it. 4 months after the event, Trump fired Wagner without giving him a reason, which made the claims even greater. A lot of people believe the story was deeper than what Marla and Wagner had told. In the end, Wagner told a newspaper that he was guilty and that indeed something had happened that night. He said that he and Marla were making out on the beach when the police officer came up to them and said, "Our passion boiled over and we made love." This was shocking new information that made a scandalous situation even worse. Wagner's ex-wife, Mary Miller, finally told her own story about what took place. Wang had told Miller behind her back that he and Marla had never cheated on each other, Miller said. He was going to say that Marla was crazy and that she was after him instead. Wanger told Miller that Marla was acting badly and that she would hit him when she tried to pull him into a bedroom at the estate, Miller said. Wang had also called Marla a party girl who loved having fun at Mar-a-Lago, Miller said. What took place with Wagner because of the story was awful. He had a tough time getting a job after Trump fired him, and the media's constant attention made his mental health worse. Miller says that the bad news and not having a job together really hurt and broke him. Sad to say, Wagner died on January 1, 2012 from taking too much. There will be damage from the incident for a long time. Something else went wrong with Marla's marriage to Trump, making things worse. On the other hand, Wagner thought it was the beginning of a bad trend that would lead to disaster. The rest of the world saw it as just another event in Donald Trump's wild personal life. The deal Marla Maples and Donald Trump made before they got married finally came out to the public years after their short-lived marriage ended. So let's just say the finish wasn't very happy. Leaked terms say that Marla will get $1 million, 0 cents, and another $1 million, 0 cents to buy a house if the marriage ends in 5 years. Most people would think that's a lot, but when you compare it to what Trump's first wife, Ivana, got after the divorce, more than $25 million, 0 cents in cash and assets, Marla's payout seemed like less of a prize. In the end, Marla gave hints that signing that prenup wasn't really what she wanted to do. An interview with her showed that the contract caused her a lot of stress before the wedding. She said she only signed it because she thought they could talk about it again later. It was bad for her that they didn't. After they said this small thing, people started to wonder if their marriage was doomed from the start because it was based on paperwork rather than love and trust. But the parts of the prenup that seemed too detailed were what really made people think. Trump agreed to help his children There was a catch when they gave Tiffany to their daughter. The money would stop coming in if Tiffany got a full-time job, joined the military, or joined the Peace Corps. That is correct. You did read that. It's not often that you see a Peace Corps rule in a prenup. People began to question how much Trump really wanted to be in charge of everything. It was clear that they had been very careful with money from the start because their marriage fell apart. They had very different goals. The terms were unfair, and Marla later felt bad about the deal. All of these things suggested that their relationship may have been more about protecting Trump's wealth than building a strong, long-lasting bond.